Ohio approved and licensed for disposal, at Ron Evans Enterprises, they specialize in sewage system installation and repair. Ron Evans has a full line of flex pipe, culverts, concrete, and plastic septic tanks, sewer fittings, waterline rolls for the Home American water heaters, along with toilets, standard and ADA. It's all at Ron Evans Enterprise, LLC. Give them a call today at 1-800-537-9528 or 740-286-5930.
At Vinton County National Bank, we believe in supporting the areas where we live and work. Now, we'd like to honor those who also serve our communities. Our new Community Champions account is especially for first responders, veterans, active military, and anyone employed in the fields of healthcare or education. This account offers rewards, discounts, and other benefits to those who give so much to others. Vinton County National Bank, rewarding those who serve.
Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at BellisioFoods.com/careers.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning show right here on Main Street TV, where we have yet again another very, very special guest in the house today, and that's Dr. Brian Rao, Superintendent of the Wellston City Schools. So thank you for being here.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Well, I was going to say
back.
Well, I was going to say thank you for having me back, but I really should say thank you for allowing me to invite myself back.
Hey,
I love it.
I
love it.
You never invite yourself because you have an open invitation. How's that?
That will work.
But no, I mean, we have so much stuff to talk about today. So many things exciting within all of our local school districts. Today, we're going to focus on Wellston and talk about some of the year-end things that are going on, some of the great things that your kids are achieving, and also some new programs that are available.
It's a very exciting time.
Yes, it is. And can you believe, I mean, we are winding up another school year.
I said this on the morning show each year, and I told this to someone just not too long ago, is every year, each school year gets more challenging every year.
Sure.
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, and maybe just because we're old, or I'm old.
No, we're old. We'll just be old together.
And maybe it has to do with just the school years themselves just get quicker and quicker. I mean, we're pretty much in April. I mean, 2 months and we're out again for another school year's down.
I mean, it just started.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
It's like it starts, and then 2 weeks later there's Christmas, and then it's like spring break.
We're in the large push. Once you get to President's Day, from President's Day to Easter, whenever Easter, because it fluctuates,
yes,
that's a long stretch of time. But it's like once you get through that, then you're in testing season, and then the year basically is pretty much finished.
Just flies.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I have one of my friends from Columbus is called, and she said, "Hey, bringing the kids down to Hocking Hills for spring break." And I'm like, spring break? And she's like, I'm going to stop by the brewery. We want to see it, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, spring break? And then I was like, oh, yeah, it is the end of March, I guess.
Well, it's spring break until you wake up this morning and realize that your car's all frosted over and it's 28 degrees.
Just had that discussion with my husband. He's like, why is there frost on the grass? I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, my God. I'm ready for the warm weather.
But yet tonight we'll have to be mowing. So it makes no sense whatsoever. But yeah. But anyway. But man, you guys have so much stuff going on there in the Wellston City Schools. You have a new a really cool construction project going on. So I'll let you kind of just however you'd like to begin talking, and we'll go through it all.
We'll start with that. Yes, our athletic complex, our athletic facility or building is about ready. It's in the final stages. So we're really excited to get that up and going. So inside of it, we'll have We'll have restrooms, a concession stand, and a weight room.
Okay, and where is this located?
That's located right next to our track at the high school.
Okay.
So we really needed something there anyway. So
Okay.
we were able to use some funds to make that happen. So we're in the final stages of that. We've got a ticket booth there now. So, God love our ticket takers. Now they can get out of the elements into it.
Yeah.
Our maintenance guy, Paul, is
Sit in
just,
a lawn chair.
oh my God,
with
with an umbrella, whether they're shielding the sun or the rain.
Either way.
But so that's coming. That's pretty much nearing. So we're within probably a month or so of having that being able to be, I'll say, substantially completed. Still got some punch items list after that, but that's kind of how that stuff goes. So that's about finishing up. But the I don't want to say the best news because it's all great news, but I received a text message early Saturday morning, and I was like pretty much zombied out. My dad and I was in Indianapolis for March Madness. We got home really, really late, early in the morning Saturday. Then we went back up Sunday. So I was like in a fog when I was reading some of this text message and says, you need to call so-and-so because about a grant. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know if I'm going to be in the area because the governor was coming down to Athens High School on Monday. I was like, how am I going to make this work? But it worked out to where we were able to go. But what it was, and I received a second text message, I believe I don't even know if it was Saturday or Sunday, about another grant. And I'm thinking, are we talking about the same thing?
Right, exactly.
So I was just about as confused. And I knew about both of them, but I never knew they were going to be released at the same time or even if we would hear anything at the same time or simultaneously. So that was it. I was taken aback and thinking, either I'm confused or something's going on here. So in short, the grant that Governor DeWine came down for, there were 6 schools in our area that received a grant for the mobile eye clinic, like a mobile eye exam unit. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, it's just, especially for vision.
Yes.
The tagline of that day, and I'm not going to steal somebody's tagline. I guess I am stealing it because I'm using it. It was so simple, but they were so correct in that if a kid can't see, they can't read. And,
you're exactly right.
Well, you think about it, and it's so simple, but who would ever even think about that? It really does start with vision.
It is. And so Pete Wilson and I were doing some news yesterday, and he and I both got to talking about that and it was funny. We both have similar stories. And I said, I can remember my mom used to own where Fantastic Sam's is now in Jackson, was the Shake Shop. And I can remember I was sitting in a booth with my mom, and she said something about what was on the Ponderosa sign. And I said, I don't even see the Ponderosa sign. I was in the 6th grade. And she said, what? And I said, I can't see it. It's just a big blur to me. And she was like, oh my God. And went right to the eye doctor, and they're like, yeah, she can't see a lick. But you don't understand you can't see until you can see.
Absolutely.
You have no idea.
Well, and then once you realize that you may have failed a vision screening at school, or in your case, you were fortunate because you had access to go get your eye exam, and a lot of kids even aren't that fortunate. Exactly. They're not that fortunate.
Sure.
So the great thing about this, for all the schools that were part of this, is once a student, if they were to fail an eye exam, then the mobile clinic comes to each of the schools so it takes out the barriers for transportation. It takes out the barriers to try to find a provider. So all of those barriers that we typically say are challenging for families, and they are challenging for families.
There's so many barriers.
Oh my gosh. And we're able to bring that to the school. They provide glasses if needed. So there's so many things with the vision piece. And I will say, from being part of something in my other district that was a brick and mortar school-based health clinic or school-based health center, one of the things that was the hardest to schedule was the optometrist.
I could see that.
And you had to schedule.
There's a lack thereof in our area.
You better believe it. I mean, you had to schedule 2 months out.
Yeah.
So we know how important vision is. And I don't want to say the lack of providers. I'll just say lack of access to providers to a lot of our families.
Any number of reasons.
Correct. So that's the first grant. So we're just grateful for that.
What will that enable?
It's going to, as far as
for all kids,
it's for the students. It's for the kids.
All
K-12.
Wellston
Correct.
students
Correct.
will have access.
I think they can take because I ask about this to say, are we going to have all 1,200 of our kids well, obviously they can't, and all 1,200 is not going to need glasses. So,
right.
but I think it can accommodate, I can't remember how many they said, and I'm not sure how many days they're going to be on campus. So I'm not sure of those logistics, but basically the high need kids that truly need vision services
Yes.
are going to be able to get vision services.
And that is, it's game changing, life changing, all of the things
It's
that you
all
could
free.
possibly say.
And there's
it's free.
and I know, to my understanding, in order to make that sustainable, I mean, there are some possibilities for their private insurances, or a lot of it will probably be Medicaid, but they're trying to infuse some of that in just to make it sustainable.
Yes.
But for the students themselves, if they need glasses, they're going to be able to get them.
And it is, things like that. I go on these rants sometimes. Like, you should never have to buy toilet paper. It's just a thing you should just be given. And eye care is something that should just be given because of the very thing that you said. If you can't see, you can't do anything. You can't read, you can't drive, you can't read, you can't do your homework, you can't do anything.
And I've been able to observe, and I will say just once where I physically observed, not just a story coming to me. This is many, many, many years ago when I was a principal, where a student got glasses for the first time. And if you would have seen the lights in their eyes,
yes,
and they were like, it was almost like the world opened up to them, literally. And it was
you have
amazing.
no idea.
No.
Well, and that's what Pete and I were talking yesterday. His last name is Wilson, and he's like, they used to set us in alphabetical order, which always put me in the back of the room, and I couldn't see. And he was like, that's how I realized that I couldn't see, is because I couldn't see the blackboard. And I was like, well, kind of same with me. So there's all of these stories out there.
And more common than you think.
Yes.
And we're looking, of course, this year.
And the carrot thing's BS, because all I ate when I was a child was carrots, and it obviously did not work.
Well, didn't they say the carrot thing allows you to see better in the dark?
Oh, is that what it is?
So that might be what it is. Now, I don't know, but
it sure as heck didn't help me any. But no, that's wonderful. And when will this start?
That I am not for sure.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sure they mentioned it, and it just went right over my head.
Well, you're so excited to announce it.
Yeah.
I don't know the details, but it's happening.
Well, and I think it came as it was such a, I don't want to say, I guess it was a shock to a lot of folks, and it was a last minute thing to have the recognition and all that. I think a lot of people were just kind of like blown away that this is going to be an opportunity for us.
Yes.
I don't even know if anybody even talked those types of logistics when the governor was introducing everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were just tickled to death. We was like, oh my gosh, we've got services for our kids now.
Yeah.
So that was the first one. So the second one, and I knew we were part of the overall grant process, and I believe this one has something to do with the Appalachian Children's Coalition, and it's for the Adina's Mobile Health Clinic. So the two different ones, so I don't get them confused. Mm-hmm. We have the mobile eye exam, and I don't know what the official name was. I just call it a mobile eye exam unit.
Pete Wilson gave me a story here. Let me see if I can get my bifocal contacts to work, because I can't see. No, go ahead. I was looking to see if I could.
Well, and with the mobile health clinic, now they do medical on the medical side of it, and we do have that mobile unit scheduled a couple times. I think once in April and May.
That is awesome.
So I know they're going to come down. That's through Adina, and that's pretty cool. Our school nurse and I went and toured this little. It was an RV, is what it is.
Yeah.
And it was. I mean, I love this stuff anyway. And it was just how it was outfitted with medical and eventually I think dental, but not quite yet. But so they're going to be on campus and they'll be able to serve students and staff. So the the eye exam unit is just for students.
Okay.
Now, to my understanding, it's just for students. Now, the mobile health clinic is for students or adults.
Okay.
Or I say staff members.
Gotcha.
So ultimately, my vision is I would love to have, and this is years down the road, and I understand that, but my ultimate vision is to have some type of a brick and mortar actual school-based health center.
Yes.
So not only the students and the staff can access it, but also the community members.
Wonderful.
So eventually that's what I would like to see happen, but that's on down the road. But this mobile health clinic, we were part of a bigger consortium of folks who put in for this grant.
Yeah, there's all kinds of
There's all kinds of it. So really what that grant for us just allows us to be able to have the mobile health clinic at our campus more times than what it would not had we not been part of this grant. So
unbelievable. And
it's
some
great.
other schools were involved as well. Are involved as well. So, again, this is opening up the access to health care and to vision care for
in both
many
of these
kids that wouldn't get it.
And I will say and to your point with several other schools, and it's not just a hodgepodge of schools. We're all schools here in Southeast Ohio.
Yes.
And I do have to give credit to the governor and have to give credit to all those folks that was involved in writing the grants. There's just too many to even name. I'll start forgetting people. Yes. But they're thinking about Southeastern Ohio.
Honestly, and I say this, and I will give, the folks in Columbus and whatnot credit. It's like for the first time we've been recognized down here. Ever that I can remember.
And I will say,
other than James Rhodes, who,
right.
that was several years ago now.
Well, I will say also, not just, I'll talk about this piece on the academic front is we're a member of Chorus, excuse me, as a lot of folks are in our area. Chorus is the Coalition of Rural and Appalachian Schools.
Okay.
So we're in the process of creating the Coalition of Ohio Rural and Appalachian Schools, which is still going to be another part of Chorus. The reason I keep saying Chorus is the people at the State Department, the legislators. Chorus has done a lot of advocacy for all Appalachian schools with areas that we see of needs like preschool, facilities, transportation, and there's a few more things that we kind of have on our lobbying list. And we work with Sunday Creek Horizon to lobby for things. And all that, again, is coming from not just the Southeastern Ohio. So I don't want to just say that. Yeah. But this is all Appalachian region. And eventually we're going to take this all to rural schools throughout Ohio. So with that, still us in we in Southeastern Ohio are still going to benefit a lot from this advocacy that we're doing. So not only are we getting the grants and the access to health care services through both of these that we've already talked about, but on the legislative side, we're trying to make sure we build those relationships with our legislators so they can see some of the challenges that we have here in Southeastern Ohio or Appalachian or rural schools. So there's really a lot going on with our region here with that.
I've never seen a state that has three corners, but for some reason ours does.
It seems to, doesn't it?
Or did.
Mm-hmm.
And, we are the fourth corner down here that had been forgotten
Correct.
for a really long time. And it's just wonderful to see that we are being recognized.
I think the tide's turning. There's a lot of superintendents out there that are really advocating, not just again for our area, but for all Appalachian schools. But we are also beneficiaries of all of this advocacy. So that's what I try to tell folks is, just because something's going on in Columbus, eventually, indirectly, we have benefit for our schools. Jackson, Oak Hill, all of us around here have access to some of these opportunities that we're advocating for. And really, it's just a wonderful thing now because when you go places and people hear the word course, I was at a state meeting a couple months ago, and the interim director of the Department of Education and Workforce mentioned us by name. People know who we are and they know where we're from.
Awesome.
So, and then of course the governor coming down and recognizing us for the grant for the mobile eye clinic. So yeah, Southeastern Ohio is getting a name for itself.
And I'm just going to be honest, our kids, and we'll get to the talented kids that are doing so many great things here. But, you and I were laughing about being old, but when's the last time, was anybody, when you went to school, did anyone go to an Ivy League school? Was that even thought of? No, because we were a bunch of dum-dums down here in Southeastern Ohio that we're just dumb. And
we had one kid, the one I was talking about before we went on air. Yes. He actually went to the Naval Academy.
And it was just like unheard of.
It truly was.
And now it happens all the time.
we have, I look in our graduating class, and probably 10%, at least 10% of our graduating class went into education of some sort. You know, even the ones that I know who did not go to college are highly successful in the construction business.
Yep.
You know, we have very, very few students that I know I graduated with in '89 that really are struggling. Most of us, our work ethic goes a long way back then, but we never had those opportunities. We're kind of rehashing what we talked about before we came on air.
Yeah.
We never had those opportunities that kids have today. And it's just mind boggling to see that, you know, and I always think, you know, what would we have done back then?
I know.
If we would have had these opportunities.
Agreed.
You know, and I may not be sitting here talking to you if I'd have had the opportunities that the kids have today.
Correct.
And there's some of the jobs out there that never existed when we were in school.
Yes.
You know, he's telling some of these young kids in here that computer, we had an old,
we didn't have computers.
What? Well, we had a computer at school, and it was an archaic looking
open
thing.
Apple.
Oh, yeah.
You know, all the commands.
And then a cell phone.
We didn't have cell phones. Even in college, we didn't have cell phones.
We were fortunate. I think there might have been only a couple of years, even where I lived, where we had a thing called the party line. So good luck, young kids, looking that one up.
Hayden, you ever heard of a party line? He's never even heard of a landline, let alone a party line.
So, I mean, you look at all this stuff, and of course, we talked about
the technology
and the great things that Buckeye Hills is doing, or I should say career tech in general, but Buckeye Hills just epitomized. They're the epitome.
They are
career tech.
It.
So it's just the things that's going on down there, and again, just all the opportunities we have for kids. You know, when I was in school, and you as well, we never had a mobile eye clinic.
No.
We never had a mobile health clinic. We never had any of that. So I still think all of that provides even opportunities. You might not think, what's that got to do with school? Health has everything to do with school.
Everything.
Everything.
Has everything to do with school.
Absolutely.
Health has everything to do with school. You're
absolutely.
exactly right.
So it's just it's just a wonderful time. And I don't know if I could grow up in today's society because I'm so old school on some thinking. But oh my gosh, we have a lot of brilliant kids.
We do. And I think what's the difference, you know, we've always had brilliant kids. We just didn't, I don't know. The attitude is different. Like now it's like, you know, for our Appalachian kids, the sky's the limit for them too.
Absolutely. And that, I think that's it. One, we have to instill the confidence in them that they are able to do whatever they want to do. And there's no limits, especially, you know, when I was talking to you, I love marine biology, but as a junior and senior in high school in Ohio,
I live in Ohio.
Where in the world am I going to go to a school other than travel to Florida?
Right.
Which was back then probably unheard of, either financially or logistically.
Yep.
So it's like, but nowadays they got online classes. You could do this. Now you still may have to travel, you know, obviously. But the thing is the access is there for kids, and they see all that, and there are so many of them that's actually taking advantage of it, which is what we want them to do.
Absolutely, more, you know. Yeah, the sky's the limit, and what a fun time. I would say, I'm sure I'm not speaking for Hayden, but I am, like, it's a stressful time because the sky's the limit. Like, now you have all these decisions to make.
Well, and you've got,
what a good problem to have.
It is a good problem it is a good, as long as you keep your head on your shoulders and think, then you're okay. Yeah. You know, some of the things I tell kids all the time, you know, social media can be used for good things, but you need to be careful.
Yes.
Because when you go to a job, your employer is going to check your social media accounts. And if you have some stupid stuff on there, if it's between two candidates, they're going with the one that has the less on it.
I'm just going to tell you, as a business owner, I get an application. What is the first, hands down, first thing I do is go to Facebook and look that person up.
You better believe it.
And if they've got negativity, if they've got drama, whatever, their application is out.
Absolutely.
I don't get past that.
Nope. And you can't.
Because that shows the kind of person that you are. And so it's very important for us to instill upon our youth that it could be 10 years ago that you posted something and somebody's going to see it.
That's unfortunate, but it's true. I mean, you see it all the time with, you know, folks are digging things back 20, 30 years from now. Well, Well, hope they don't dig too much.
I know, right? I mean,
you and I wouldn't be
let's
sitting
honest, none of us have. There's some pictures out there that probably we pray that don't get out there, and because we didn't know back then.
Well, and fortunately for us, we never had social media.
Correct.
So we were if we wanted to go, if we wanted to converse with somebody, we actually had to go to their house.
Yeah.
To say hi.
Or call them on their
landline.
Or their party line.
Yeah. So that's what we had. It is just a different society. But there's so many great things that can go on in today's society if we take advantage of it the right way.
That's right. So let's talk about some of the great things that the kids are
absolutely
up to in Wellston, because you guys have so many, as we do everywhere, but so much stuff going on.
There's no rhyme or reason to this. I've just got a few things here I would love to point out. But the first one is we've got a young middle schooler, and he was nominated by our choir teacher, Natalie Davison.
Okay.
And his name's Andrew Marquis. And this young man, he's been in our school plays, and he's a remarkable singer, but he's even better a remarkable young man. Just a nice kid. Oh my gosh. I mean, just someone you'd like to hang out with. Yeah. He's really cool. So June 19th to the 23rd, he is going to be going to California to sing at the Ambassador Auditorium. And he was chosen from a long list of other students to go to California to receive this opportunity.
Wow.
So, I mean, and there's it says he is one of 300 students chosen between the United States, Canada, and Guam. Now, I didn't realize Canada was in there. I knew Guam was. So between 300 students, he's only one of 300 students between the United States, Canada, and Guam to go to California to have this opportunity.
Awesome.
Amazing. So, and I talked to the mother yesterday, and again, I'll put a plug in for him if I may.
Yes.
Is because this is not what you would call an official school-sponsored trip.
Okay.
Because this really isn't officially from within the school district. The school district themselves can't really donate to this to get him out to California. Mm-hmm. Now, individually, you can. And that's just one of the things. And I talked to the mother. The mom's name's Tiffany Marquis. And she gave me permission to share this if I'm allowed to share it here.
Absolutely, please.
So
let's help this kid get out there.
if you're willing to donate, and his name's Andrew Marquis, to go to California and represent, and really, he's not just representing Wellston. I mean, I'm getting cold chills, really.
He's representing all of us.
He's representing Jackson County.
Yes.
He's representing Southeast Ohio, because I don't know of any other student around here that's going to California that has this opportunity. So if you would like to donate to help the family, I'm going to give an email address and I will give a phone number.
Okay.
And this is all, and Tiffany allowed me to do this. Tiffany's email address, and Tiffany's the mother, it's A-T as in Tiffany.
Okay.
Marquis, so it's ATMARQUIS 2010, so 2010, at gmail.com.
Okay.
So anybody who's interested in helping Andrew, then that's the email address. And Tiffany's phone number is 740-418-4956. So we're really just excited for Andrew. Like I said, that's the middle to the end of June, June 19th to the 23rd, out in California.
This will be here before you know it as well.
Yeah, you blink your eye and it'll be here.
Get your checkbooks out and help this kid do good.
Yes.
And represent us. That's awesome.
Well, and I'll kind of work backwards. I'll go from the high school on down, if I may.
Yeah.
We also have two other incredible, fine young men. These are juniors, Jay Collingsheed and Robert Johnson. Now, I wanted to make sure to point out they were juniors because they still have another year.
Okay.
And I am so looking forward to what they're going to be able to do next year. But they placed in a top 10 in the nation and will be going to the Business Professionals Association, which is BPA, their National Leadership Conference, and that's in Chicago, and that's coming up here pretty soon. And they've got a chance of being the national winner with their 2-dimensional or 2D animation project.
Okay.
So they're going to be competing at the nation for their project. I wish I could explain it.
Wow.
It's beyond I'm not good at that stuff. I watched it and I was like, you got to be kidding me. It was, but you had to have, there were certain parameters you had to do to make this 2D animation.
Kind of like a cartoon.
It's it reminded me kind of a Minecraft thing.
Okay.
But there was a story that went with it.
Awesome.
And it was really, I mean, I was fascinated by it because I could never do anything like that. And to see it was just amazing.
Yeah.
So Jake and Robert, we really wish them luck, and all the folks that are going to the national convention. We've got several folks getting ready to gear up and go to the FFA state convention and all that. There's Andrew right here.
Aw,
I'm not sure who can see it or if it's on the air. But yep, that's Andrew right there. So he is heading to California, and that's again June 19th to the 23rd. He's a great young kid.
He looks so cute.
Great young kid. Well, I will, and I know I sent in some pictures yesterday, but I'll give them time to queue them up. But before I get to that, I'll go back to the middle school here real quick. The middle school, and this was shared as well, they were, again, part of the U.S. News and World Report. They ranked number 367 in Ohio. They ranked in the 62nd percentile, so that means they outperformed over 62% of the middle schools in the state of Ohio.
Wow.
So we were very, very impressed with that. And if you look at their report card and all of the things that they've been doing, I mean, they've got 5 stars out of 5 stars with progress, which means we know they're growing kids. So from one year to the next, they're doing some amazing work academically there at the middle school. So we're thoroughly impressed with that. With our intermediate school, along those same lines, as they're tracking data, they've realized, and it was kind of an eye-opening moment, is they've achieved the highest growth in achievement scores on their STAR assessments, and that's been in the past 10 years. So, I mean, academically, we're as high as we've been in the last 10 years, and it's only going to go up.
Man.
And it's absolutely amazing, and the teachers have worked so hard to put to just every ounce of energy and resources they have into their instruction. And I couldn't be prouder. I mean, I really couldn't be prouder.
Yes.
But now it was Tuesday, and oh my gosh, I love this part of the year. And I know there were some pictures. I don't know when they'll get put up. But Bundy's Art Show and their first grade wax museum. If you haven't seen pictures.
Okay. I heard you talking about this when I was driving in this morning. So back up and explain this situation.
Okay.
It sounds fascinating.
So, oh my God, I would have loved something like this when I was in school, because this is right up my alley. So this is a unique combination of visual arts and interactive history education, which allows students to express their creativity while learning about significant historical figures or events. The Wax Museum component involves students researching and then embodying historical figures, and they present their lives and contributions in an engaging manner to the folks that come to see it. So they have a display board, as you see.
So they become that
They become that person. So wow. I believe that fellow was George Washington. The one we saw was Michael Jordan. You first walk in, and there's Albert Einstein sitting there. There were a lot. That's Jenna Ortega. She's the actress in Beetlejuice. And we had some singers this year, Adele, Toby Mac, and that was one of my favorites, Junko Tabay. She was a mountain climber, and I asked her, I was like, how in the world did you ever find out about her? And it was on like a PBS or PBS station or something. And it was like, I was just fascinated. And that's Adele. Oh, she was adorable. So I think the singers, we had Adele, Taylor Swift, Toby Mac, Dolly Parton, Loretta Lynn. There was Loretta Lynn was there.
Really?
We had this was one of my favorites. This little dude, Ty Warner. He did a lot of the Beanie Babies, and you can't see it from here or even on the screen. But if you look on the left side of it, it tells about what some of the costs of those Beanie Babies went for. And I don't know if that was an auction, but they were like 6 or like 5 figures. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's like unbelievable.
They went insanely high.
Oh, and that was, so the winners that we had a winner. The teachers voted, the students voted, then the folks who came to the Wax Museum night voted, and then we had some external judges come in. So we had different types of winners for each one. And I believe that's Ty, going from left to right, Ty Warner, and these are fictitious, the actual names, not the names of the kids. Ty Warner, Michael Jordan, George Washington, Junko, Jenna, and Adele is all who won the awards. And they were just, oh my gosh, it was adorable. I love seeing it every year because kids just fascinate me with those.
And so those kids actually become that person, and I guarantee you they know every single detail about that human.
More than I could know.
Yeah.
And first off, I never knew who Junko was until I went there. I was like, who is that one? It's like, oh my gosh, that is just absolutely cool. But so, I mean, and those are just some of the great things that even at Bundy and even throughout the district that we do to get kids involved with some of this. So it just looks like it's not just putting together, getting on an outfit or something like that, but they're actually learning about this stuff. And it's pretty remarkable to see.
I want to do that as an adult.
Yeah.
Can we do an adult one?
I figured our conversations, because how sometimes it veers off sometimes.
Yes, it does.
So if we were to do this now as an adult, so I guess I'm going to be the interviewer.
Oh.
Who would you do?
Oh my God.
I thought it was very difficult to me to come up with an answer.
Well, I think you need to come up with somebody that, I have always been fascinated by Harriet Tubman and the whole Underground Railroad situation. So I think that would be something really neat.
That's pretty unique.
Because they had no cell phones, computers, landline phones even. They had nothing, and they came up with this entire nationwide system of communication all on their own. How?
Yeah. They were brilliant individuals.
And so that has always fascinated me. So I think I would probably do that.
And I still don't know. I mean, I'm going to go very simplistic, and I go back to my childhood. And if I was their age, I think this is probably what I would have done. Is I'm a huge Star Wars guy.
Oh.
And it would probably be, if not Darth Vader, it would probably be Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. I mean,
why not?
I think about that stuff back then. If I was a kid, what would I do? Probably that, because back then it was either going to be a movie star or a sports figure.
Sure.
Because I really wasn't into history. Now I have a much more appreciation of it than I did back then. But even as an adult, if I was to do that, I don't know. It's just there's so many people out there.
The limit. It's so hard.
When I will say this, and I will say as an adult, this is again today's society. I probably shouldn't say this because you might have to bleep some of this out. As an adult, I guess we really have to watch what we do, so it's not offending people or who we choose. But as long as you keep everything factual, you're probably fine.
Sure.
But I don't know who I would do. I don't know. I thought about it driving in today. I was like, she's going to ask me, who would you do? I don't know. I can't figure it out.
It's a lot because there's a lot of amazing humans out there.
Well, and a lot of folks out there that shaped either who we are as individuals.
Yes.
Or who has shaped the society we live in a good way.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just, there's too many.
Yeah.
I mean, I have one person in mind right now, but nobody could ever replicate this individual, and I won't even share this. But it's like there's a lot of folks that's done a great job for what we have, whether it's even, look, Harvey Wells for Wellston.
Yeah,
I mean, you could even do some,
like local heroes or local, historical
correct
folks.
So there's, oh my gosh, there's an infinite number of folks. But anyhow, I just found that interesting to think about saying, who would you do? I don't know.
Yeah, that's... and then you can get into, Jimmy Buffett would be an amazing.
And it
would be hard for a kid.
You'd have to be careful with that one.
You would.
Now, but I will say it was nice to see, because I think when I saw the Toby Keith, when I saw the kid doing coke, because he's the one that passed away not too long ago.
Yes,
yeah. So it was kind of nice to see someone kind of bring him, kind of back, and it was pretty
to life. Yeah, fun. That is a great project. I wonder how long that's been going on.
I want to say 6 years. It's either 6 or 8. I want to say 6 because it was something annual. So I'm saying 6, but I'm probably wrong.
Love that. Whoever came up with that idea.
Oh,
fantastic.
Man.
Good for you.
Yeah. And it's all, and the thing about it, I will say, is it's not mandatory. So the kids that do it are the ones that really want to do it, and they put the time into it, and it's just remarkable. I mean, if you haven't been up to see it in person some year, it doesn't take very long. I mean, you go in, it starts at 5:00. You can walk around. You don't even have to get there at 5. You can get there at 5:20 or 5:15. Go out and walk around. They give you a little, square sheet of paper. You vote, put your number on who your best one is, and then they do the awards thing. So it's no time at all, and you're out. So it's really quick. If anybody was really wanting to go see it one year, I urge you to check it out. It's cool.
Fun
it's
deal.
Cool. So, yeah, I mean, and there's just, this year, I'm not sure how much you guys are aware. Of course, we hear it all the time. Of course, we got the dyslexia screening this year, just all the legislative stuff coming down from the state.
Oh, okay.
So the big topic this year is the science of reading. So, of course, when the state passed the science of reading, there are several school districts, in fact, many school districts, if not most, they have to revamp their English language arts curriculum because it's not conducive to the science of reading. So we're in the process now of revamping our entire K-5 ELA curriculum. So we're going to be getting, new textbooks, new resource materials, because, nowadays now this, and I will say, I'm a math person, so I don't understand all of this reading stuff, but I don't know how I was taught to read. But I was a good reader, and I could not remember. I really have a hard time processing what I read and remember it. And so if you were asking me a question about stuff on here, I probably couldn't tell you without looking at it because I just can't retain that information. Sure. But I'm a very, very good reader.
Yes.
I don't know how I was taught to read. And I don't even know if you can remember how you were taught to read, but we just learned to read. Well, of course, now,
I don't know.
But now, of course, there's a right and a wrong way to teach people how to read. This is what society's coming to.
But what if it doesn't work for that human?
Then they modify it, and it's all individual.
Okay.
Which that part of it I like.
Yes.
But so now, of course, the research is saying that you have to teach it this way. This way's no good anymore. Well,
I remember learning to write in cursive.
Yep, me too. What's
Today,
that? What's that?
This week is M, and you had that paper.
Hundreds of times.
The fat, with the lines and the dotted line.
Yeah.
And
now it had
digress.
Well, you're not digressing because that just kind of goes right into my point. Is in today now how things are today. It's like, okay, here's the research that says this, and I believe the research because the research is the research,
Sure.
but I can also show research that contradicts research.
Sure.
So it's like everybody has their own opinion. Yeah. But with that said, is we are revamping all of our language arts curriculum to match the science of reading, which is the right thing to do. So we're really excited to have all of that new material. So hopefully next year. The problem is
did we learn to read?
I'm telling you,
no.
it's like I just kind of knew. I mean, I didn't know. I wasn't born to know how to read.
I think phonetically, right? Did we learn phonetics?
That would have been how I can remember it. Here's the one letter and what's the sounds of it, and then put the sounds together. But I honestly, all I know is I did have some amazing early primary teachers.
Evidently,
I can name every one of them, and they taught me a lot of what I know now.
Yeah.
So anyhow, we got a lot of those state initiatives coming down.
Okay.
And like any other state initiative, a lot of it's not funded. So that's a challenge. We got to find a way to do that. And those are the things that a lot of us superintendents advocate for that type of stuff. So it's trying just to navigate all the things from the state and everything else. And then, of course, we still have our extracurriculars, so we want to make sure that our sports are doing well. And, we've had up seasons, down seasons. That's just how it is. But I'm hoping with what we talked about at the very beginning with this athletic facility that it might give anything just to give a little bit of boost to say, we do care about what we're doing extracurricular wise. And we're hoping that even this might even play a small factor in maybe kids wanting to participate or anything like that. Because nowadays, going back to our conversations we've had all day, the theme of it is back when we were in school.
A few years ago.
We never had a lot of things that competed against extracurricular activities. We never had the cell phones. We never had this type of thing. So
True.
Again, if you wanted to see your friends, you participate in extracurricular activities or co-curricular activities.
Sure.
And I was in so many things, and now it's like sometimes it's like some of the kids, they just aren't interested in stuff, and that's not good or bad. It's just the changing of the times.
Well, I think they're just sometimes it's like overload. There's just so much of it that it's just like I don't want to. It's just it's like diarrhea of the brain.
Oh my gosh.
Ugh.
One of the things we talked about, this was at my other school, was brought up because we had a hard time filling JV girls basketball, as a lot of schools do. Well, then we started talking to some girls, and a lot of those girls were cheerleaders. Well, some of them were quitting playing basketball because if you were a cheerleader, you were busy almost 6 nights of the week.
Right.
I mean, your boys games are 2 nights a week, girls games are 2 nights a week, and then practice. I mean, you got your schedule's full.
Yeah.
So, and then I never really thought about that, but I was like, yeah, when these kids have time to do kind of what they would like to do, or what they want to do. So, but there's just so many other opportunities out there that it's just, we can't fathom it because we never had that.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Wow. It's hard being a kid.
It's very difficult in today's society.
It's easier and hard.
Yeah, I know.
Difficult. Yeah.
They have a lot more knowledge than we did.
Yeah.
A lot more.
They're so much more grown up. I feel like.
Much more grown up.
Yeah.
Much more grown up. They have more access to things that we didn't have. But I will say, me and most of the folks in our generation would probably agree. I think we would struggle growing up in today's society just because of what we had and what we didn't have and what they have. Yeah, it'd be a struggle.
Yeah.
So I'm blessed to grow up when I did.
Yeah.
And, that's just kind of what it is. But we're generation folks, so.
We are. And, but man, the kids are just killing it. And that's so fun to watch too.
We are beyond blessed with everything that we've got. And, the one thing I'll say is, and I will say this, sometimes I don't think even we know what we have.
Yeah.
And I think all districts to a point can say this is there's too many people that just want to focus on the negatives of everything.
Yeah.
I'm not that person. Now, I don't see everything as roses and cream. I know there's issues when there's issues. I know there's things we don't do right sometimes, but I can promise you we do the best we can. And sometimes our best just isn't good enough. And people will make sure to tell us that too.
I'm sure they do.
And here's like for us, we just have a lot of folks even just around when you're talking to other schools, even when I'm at state meetings, you hear the same thing is, and sometimes we think that we're the only ones that see the great things that we do because everybody else just wants to focus on negative stuff. And that's not how you're going to get better. Now, I'm not saying you can't do something better to make the negatives kind of either lessen or what can we do better. I'm always knowing what we can do better. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you this too, and I think the other superintendents will probably agree, is public education's under attack and has been for quite a while. And I'm not going to go on a political rant here. I'm not doing that. But it is under attack, and educators have one of the roughest jobs in America.
Yes.
I would put that against healthcare and law enforcement. It would be the top 3 for me.
Yes.
But definitely at public education. And there's some times that we just get whooped up on sometimes. And it's and I'm okay because that's the nature of what we have. But what I'll say is, sometimes maybe Jackson, Oak Hill, Wellston, maybe that's not the right school for such and such. That's why you have choices.
There's alternatives, which is a fantastic thing.
So if people want to continually gripe about what we do at Wellston, there's other choices. Yeah. We do the best we can. I stand by our staff. I think we've got a remarkable staff, as I know Phil would his, Jason would his.
Yep.
We're all unique in our own right, but we're all here for one thing, which is to educate the kids. And that's truly what we're out here for.
Yeah, and how you get there might be a little different.
And like I said, and I've said over and over, we're not going to be perfect in everything we do. That's just impossible. Mm-hmm. But I know that we're going to have the best interest of the kids on the forefront of our minds, and that's what's going to guide our decisions. I was always asked when I was the principal, who do you side with more, the kids or the teachers? Or the parents or the teachers? Because if a parent has to complain about the blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So who do you side with more, the parent or the teacher? I said, well, I was like, I side with neither. I side with what I feel is in the best interest of the student.
Of the child.
Sometimes it falls in benefit of the parent. Sometimes it falls in benefit of the teacher. But even though the student may see it as a negative, but it's always going to be in their best interest.
Yep.
And I still hold that same philosophy today.
Love that.
So it's just kind of what I do. I don't take sides. I look and see what's best for the kid. But even so, it's just sometimes you want to believe you make the right decisions, and sometimes you just don't. And you know what? You move on.
Yeah.
And I say all that because I'm sitting here looking at and talking about Jake and Robert and Andrew, and there's several other kids out. There's several other students doing amazing things
they're
too.
All doing great things, yeah.
But you see all that, and it's like apparently all of the schools in the Southeast region are doing something great, or we wouldn't have this type of success for folks. So that's kind of the way I look at it.
And I know you did mention the other county superintendents in what you were just saying a minute ago, and it's so funny because I would have to think that you all work together, and maybe that wasn't quite a thing back when we were in school either. You had these rivalry things going on, and maybe there is still a little bit.
There is.
Whatever. But all in the best interest of the students, and all kind of, I would say, a little bit in good fun too. I'm sure y'all get together and harass each other, but
we do.
It's fun.
Well, and it's no secret, I am very competitive. I do not like to lose at anything. When I'm playing a game with my granddaughter, I do not let her win.
She does not win.
I don't care if it's tiddlywinks. I'm not losing. I don't like to lose. So there is a tinge of competition, which of course
healthy competition.
It's healthy. It is, and it's respectful.
Yes.
But I will say one of the best things that we superintendents have are the superintendent meetings, whether it's at the ESC when our local superintendents get together, or BASA's regional meetings where state superintendents get together, or people from around the state. It's just a nice way to talk to each other, because when we're in our districts, the superintendent job is an absolute, it can be stressful.
Yeah.
And it can wear on you.
Yeah.
And there's two things that
you get beat up a lot.
And not just beat up. I said there's two things you have to learn to deal with as a superintendent. And I'm not going to share them, but in my mind, there's two things you do have to deal with, and some of it's just exactly what you said. So when we have the opportunities to get into the same locations, oh my gosh, somebody I can talk to that understands what we're going through. And I've talked to several superintendents throughout the state. And I will say that I probably have one of the best situations, because I've got a wonderful board. Mm-hmm. I've got great administrators. I've got a great staff. I've got a wonderful community. So I probably have it better than most, but it's still a stressful job.
Yes, it is. But if nothing else, sometimes it makes you feel a little bit better to realize you're not, it's not just you, or you're not alone out there.
Absolutely not.
Or whatever. Yeah,
no. And it's weird. And I've said this several times in the past 2 weeks with different topics, whether it's the superintendent job or whether it's dealing with very extreme difficult behaviors in the early grades or whatever it is. The folks I talk to, I can always take out their name, district's name, put our name in there. And everything's so interchangeable because all of us are in this together.
Yes.
Everybody's dealing with the same thing, which is why all of us superintendents need to band together.
Yes.
And work together to get some things. Exactly. So we can work together to get some change, because if we're competing against each other all the time, divide and conquer, that's what legislators could possibly see. Sure. If we were to band together like most of us are doing now, we get up there, we can be the catalyst for that change that we need to basically give better resources and benefits and to anything to our staff. I mean, right now to be a teacher when we were in school was a respectful position. Nowadays, it's not seen as much as that. It's just not. I mean, it's just not. So anything we can do to help our teachers. I mean, you look at, right now, I think the numbers are 20% of teachers within the first 5 years leave the profession.
I mean, I was terrified of my teachers. Like,
And
and
as was I.
as I got older, maybe you had more of an adult relationship
Mhm.
with that, like a more
You understood it.
respectful, but
You
you still respected
absolutely. I still
them.
call them Miss.
Oh, yes, we have that discussion all the time. Like, when you see your old teachers, do you call them still Mrs.
Oh, of course I
whatever,
do.
Mister? Yeah, so do
Absolutely.
I.
Now, unless they've said, Brian, cut that out. My name's so and so.
Yeah.
And if I've really gotten to know them, that's different. But no, my gosh, it's either Mr. or Mrs., and that's what it was.
Yeah.
You know,
And it feels weird to call them
by their first name.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't even, that person doesn't have a first name.
It's Mr. or Mrs.
Yes.
But I'm a staunch advocate of the profession.
Yeah.
And I support all kids. I don't care if they're in Jackson County or across the state, because we're all in this together. And this is such a cliche response, but the kids are our future. And if we don't, if we don't prepare them for our future, then where does that leave us?
Yes. Well, screwed.
Pretty much.
I mean,
Pretty much.
If we're not preparing them, because it's just the way that it goes. And and I think that hearing what you're saying about superintendents banding together and whatever, and teachers and all of this, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about the betterment of our children and their education. But it's win-win, because we're preparing them to take care of us as we get older, and they are our future.
Or preparing them to take over the roles that we currently have now.
Correct.
So I think it's going to be fine, but it's just going through kind of that rough patch with just kind of how it is, and you just got to persevere through it and move on.
What's your biggest struggle?
Other than, everybody's going to say financial. And I'm okay. You're talking about within the schools themselves?
Yeah, as superintendent.
Oh, within superintendent. Oh my gosh. There's honestly, the biggest struggle sometimes is social media. I mean, as far as getting the message out, meaning we get beat up on social media, and I urge people, if they have something negative to say, contact me and we'll talk about it. Because the thing I would like to get out is the facts. Sometimes folks just do not know the facts. So that's a huge,
I mean, everything you read on social media isn't true.
I hate to break your bubble, but nope. Or it might be all fact, but they leave out 10% of the story,
which kind of makes the story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, now coming from the superintendent standpoint, from as far as running a district, a lot of it is just some of the things that we are experiencing, and I'm going to go back to the difficult behaviors in early primary. When I was a building principal, I never had to deal too much with that.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that us superintendents are having to deal with, we've had no experience with it as we were coming through the ranks. So it's all new to us. And I equate this to folks who are retired superintendents, or at least have moved on from the superintendent role, going through the pandemic and other stuff. I was like, we couldn't even ask them any advice because they'd never gone through it.
Right.
And I don't even know if some of the superintendents, and I had some wonderful superintendents, I don't know if they would even be able to handle much of today, because it's such a different generation,
different time,
and different challenges and different barriers. So it's just kind of one of those things that goes in phases. So it's just not being able to talk to folks that went through the same thing that you're going through. That can be challenging.
Pandemics, everybody doesn't know how to take care of that. There's no instruction manual for that.
Everybody had their own, I think.
Yeah, and it changed hourly.
Or by minute.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it.
But it's
we could do a show about that.
Oh my gosh! But and I will say this: I have been just thoroughly impressed with the community of Wellston, and just the level of work that the staff have put in. I don't care what classification you have at the school, but just to support the kids and what we're able to provide the kids, and really for that, all the other difficult things we go through as superintendents, that kind of all makes it right there. So if we had to go through all the other garbage again, to get what we've got with the kids, with the mobile eye clinic, with the mobile health clinic,
there you go.
Guess what? You're going to go through it 100% of 100 of the times, because that's what's going to be best for kids.
And that's the whole bottom line.
It truly is.
All right. Well, it looks like we ran out of time.
Well,
Imagine that. You and I talked for a whole hour.
oh my gosh.
But we do appreciate you spending your morning with us. I know you're so busy, and we want to thank you and your entire staff for all that you do in educating our local kids and all of our superintendents and staff here in our area, because it's just unbelievable.
Well,
Thankless job sometimes.
well, and I do want to give a shout out to Total Media. Pete, Jeremiah, all you folks, the morning show that just allows us a platform to share the good things that we have.
Absolutely.
I mean, without you folks, I don't even know if it would get out the way it does. So the support that you folks, you let me invite myself back every year. We've got the folks at the morning show again, Pete, Jeremiah, all of the support that you folks have given Wellston City Schools. I applaud you, and we thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And, that's what we small community people have to do, band together, right?
I agree.
All right. Well, Dr. Brian Rao, thank you so much for spending your morning with us. And we need you to get back to work because you have a lot going on. So we will be right back here tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.